Hey guys, this is Skyhound, also known as Geek Archivist Xavier Pierce. Just to give a quick background, I go by the name of Pierre. For those who are wondering, Xavier Pierce happens to be my pen name. Skyhound, actually an alias I came up with. I started using it when I was thinking about trying to do a YouTube channel at first. But anyway, as for the reason for the pen name, Xavier Pierce, the last name, while it is an actual last name in reality, I tried to use in the sense of the fact I'm not using my full name being given. As for Xavier, since I am a geek, I do like Marvel and DC. If you know the name of Xavier, then you already know where I got it from. Hope you guys enjoy this video where I come across a list of villains when Austin St. John and Walter E. Jones, OG Red and Black, Mighty Morphin, respectively, go over their picks. Hey guys, what's going on? This is Skyhound, aka Xavier Pierce, Geek Archivist. So I came across an email from Fanword, quick shout out to them, and it had to do with villains from the DC universe. What's interesting though is that this is with regards to, from what I'm looking at here, not just Batman's Rogue Gallery, but also a little bit of Kal-El's, the Man of Steel himself. However, from looking at this, I mean, Walter E. Jones brought up the same question that Austin St. John did, asking about favorites. So they were looking at a list. And from what it looks like here, they mention Bane, Deathstroke, the Joker, Lex Luthor, Ra's al Ghul, Black Adam, I can't believe I'm saying that, Morbius. Before I get into that, they also mentioned Brainiac, Mr. Freeze, Scarecrow, Black Mask, Harley Quinn, Poison Ivy, Catwoman, Penguin, Mad Hatter, and Riddler. Before I give some of my favorites, I want to give a quick shout out to Walter E. Jones and Austin St. John. Gentlemen, sorry if I'm yelling, but I gotta correct you on one of the villains on that list. Morbius is from the Marvel Universe. That happens to be in Spider-Man's universe. Let me be clear. Most of those characters, excluding Morbius, is DC. I'm not sure about Black Mask. I'm going to do some digging on my end on that. However, gentlemen, you are correct about these other villains. They are from the DC universe. With that being said, before I give my list, I want to let them know that I did have the opportunity to speak with Will Friedle, who is the future Batman, Terry McGinnis, as well as Kevin Conroy. May he rest in peace. This was actually a couple years, or at least from what I recall, a year before he passed away. Days before he would have, gotten an extra year. I did get a chance to speak with them both via GalaxyCon. Quick shout out to them. There was a live stream, the only live stream for Batman Beyond. And when it came to questions from the panel, I got lucky enough and my question was asked with regards to the Rogues Gallery, strictly on Batman. Kevin Conroy mentioned his. Will Friedle also mentioned his from his Rogues Gallery. But with that part being said, if ever you guys want to take a look, I will put a link in the description down below. I will even go so far and put it up, even on Twitter. I know you guys may not use it as much, but I'll put it there anyway. So what I find interesting is that Walter E. Jones does bring up his three, which is Joker, Harley Quinn, as well as Catwoman. I will tell you this, Mr. Jones. The late Kevin Conroy also mentions the Joker, considering that, well, we're going with Mark Hamill, who is the one who did the animated version, as well as the one in the video game for the Arkham series. Fans of The Dark Knight know this game arguably by heart, most of them, from what I've read online. But Walter points out that that the Joker is deep in his memory as a bad guy. He's complicated. He is correct about that. He is complicated. And he likes the way how Jack Nicholson portrayed him in the 1989 Batman film. Kevin Conroy does mention about that one, that he likes that take in terms of Michael Keaton, him doing Batman. Although he does mention that the one that Kevin Conroy grew up with was the Adam West one. Number two, Harley Quinn, definitely complicated. Totally agree with Walter on that. She does have issues, and considering that she is the partner in crime with Joker, what's interesting is that there is an episode of Batman the Animated Series where Harley does ask, Bats, why are you, doing all this, for me anyway, after all I've done? And Batman points out to her, I once had a bad day myself. And he gives her a dress. Quick context, she was looking at said dress earlier in that episode. Now, Catwoman, the interesting thing with this is that, yes, she is kind of like the temptress, so to speak. And Marvel, I'm kind of shifting gears a little bit here, they did their own take with Black Cat for Spider-Man. Simply put, both rival comic companies copied off of each other to an extent. And while Walter does mention about Halle Berry and her take on Catwoman, I do kind of agree that it was okay for the most part. I will say that I do like Anne Hathaway's take on it from the Nolan trilogy. Obviously, the late Kevin Conroy has watched those films. I do like Nolan's trilogy because of the way how his approach was on it. Now, with that being said, going to Austin's list, he mentions about Lex Luthor, obviously the first Superman film with the late Christopher Reeves. Gene Hackman is the one who played the character. What I like with Austin explaining it is that while there was nothing physically impressive about Lex Luthor, he was smart, and that Austin is saying he remembers that as a kid. I will go a little further and state that you could say that just like Batman, he is also smart, but you could say it's kind of like being rich, but using that amount of money for the wrong reasons, if you can see that parallel there. Second on the list, Riddler, but he is actually referring, in this case, Riddler's not actually on the list, but he actually likes the femme fatale Poison Ivy. And he points out, she is the ultimate seductress. She's got poison lips. You want to kiss her, you know you're going to die, but you're going to kiss her anyway. I will say that there is an episode where it is so damn creepy, where supposedly Poison Ivy appears to be reformed, but there is something that Batman and Robin learn. I don't remember the exact episode, but it is so creepy at what she's trying to do that basically I'll just give a rough idea on what happens. He comes across this one room where he sees some pods, and when it opens up, it shows a literal baby-like creature that freaks him out. That freaks Batman out. And he's like, what in blazing hell is this? Yeah, that was freaky. And I was like, they went there? Oh my gosh. Excuse the way how I'm going over this, but yeah, on some episodes of the Batman cartoon back in the day, they went in places modern day will never dare to go. They got balls. I'll tell you that right now. They had balls going in certain directions back in the day. The third one, I will agree with Austin St. John about this, about Ra's al Ghul. Now, Liam Neeson did a really good job with the material he was given. But frankly, this character, as I recall when I was going over like some special features on, Batman and his rogues gallery, this guy, Ra's al Ghul, I know I'm going to mispronounce the name, but he is an extremist. Let's be clear here. He goes into supernatural as well as extreme in terms of, solutions. He goes where Batman dares not cross. So when he's pointing out, the Nolan films, as Austin St. John is pointing out here, he explains that he's dark, foreboding, but despite, being, good in martial arts, and yes, he is smart, but as I just pointed out, this guy goes to the extreme in ways that Batman would dare not cross. He really does test his moral ground. I'm not joking. That's what he's good at. Now, given that explanation, I'll give at least my top 3 from this list. If I had to go with number 3, I'd definitely go with... this is going to be a rough one. But if I really had to choose, I'd say Joker would be on my 3rd list. Because mainly he is chaos personified. You don't know how he, what he's going to be doing. You know that he's evil, but the way he does it is not what people expect. And, kudos to Mark Hamill for portraying that character so well. And obviously, I will say that when I was going over, Return of the Joker a little bit with both Batman, when I had the chance to talk with them, Will Friedle pointed out on that climactic scene of Return of the Joker, the whole reverse psychology, Joker knows Batman inside and out. But when it comes to going against Terry, I will just give a little bit from the film. Bruce Wayne, as he's an old man, tells Terry, the Joker is vain and he likes to talk a lot. But don't listen to him. Block it out and power on through. The thing is, Terry realizes how much vain he is at times because he's a teenager. And Joker, unfortunately, at that point, thinks using the same old tactics is going to work. But Terry turns the tables on him, getting him angry, getting emotional, and having a mental breakdown. I'll leave it at that. But it is so good how that part unfolds. It's a really good film. Return of the Joker. If either of you guys, Walter, Austin, St. John, if either of you guys have not watched it, I definitely recommend watching also Batman Beyond as well as that film. It is that good. Now, as for my number two, this one's a little bit tricky, but it's interesting that they do have certain villains on the list. But if I really had to choose my number two, I'd arguably go with. Oof. As much as I am a fan of The Dark Knight, I'm probably going to go with Brainiac on this one, on Superman's side. Why? Yes, he is calculating. Yes, he does have his ways of trying to, analyze situations. And he has abilities where, despite Superman's strength, Superman is not known for his brains like Batman is. But he does have this pursuit of knowledge and trying to apply it. But unfortunately, the way he does it is that um, he doesn't fully use it to its full potential. He just sees it as something to use like a tool, but he doesn't understand it. Now, I'm going to jump a little bit into the alternate universe for Power Rangers. There is that DC Power Rangers crossover with the Justice League. And Alpha does point out to Brainiac when he confronts him that all of this stuff that he has is just a snapshot. I'm roughly paraphrasing here. That, is just a moment in time, but he doesn't fully grasp what he has. That is what Alpha was pointing out to Brainiac when they cross paths. However, Brainiac has a means of being a virus of sorts. He infects technology and then uses it against you. So if you get that hint, then you see the issue with the Power Rangers. Most of them, at least. You see the fundamental problem there. Now, as for my number one pick, I'd have to go with one that the late Kevin Conroy also pointed out, which happens to be my favorite, Mr. Freeze. Gotta be my number one favorite because he is a tragic figure, but the circumstances that led to that wasn't his fault. All he was trying to do was save his wife. Tragedy struck, and then he has to wear this suit. Now, while it does contain the trope of the whole if I can't have it, nobody will, again, Batman tries to help him. And I'm going to be jumping again also into Batman Beyond. When Mr. Freeze does fight against the villain known as Blight from Terry's Rogue Gallery, the place that they're at, Batman and Mr. Freeze are at, the place is coming down. Terry tells Mr. Freeze, "You got to get out of here, Freeze. The whole place is coming down." And Mr. Freeze gives Terry one final look. And kudos to the writers on this. He tells Terry, "Believe me, you're the only one who cares." Knowing that just like Batman, he has a heart and he does care because he's trying to help. And if you watch the episode Heart of Ice, you see how the story of Victor Freeze unfolds. And the writing for this character from being roughly, as I recall hearing, he was a B-level villain who didn't have much back in the comics. But that episode, Heart of Ice, which won an award, by the way, is so well written that it really propelled Mr. Freeze as a villain. But yeah, those are my top 3 DC villains in response to you, Austin St. John, and Walter E. Jones. I am curious, what are your favorite villains from that list that I read from that email? Do let me know in the comments down below. This has been Skyhound, also known as Geek Archivist Xavier Pierce. Stay safe, stay sane, and stay humble. Peace.